Alrighty, I wasn't planning on making another one of these because I'm just tired of Van Jones and his bullshit and the rest of the fags who are trying to do their projection. But one, I spelled Lady Markle's name incorrectly, so I kind of feel like it wouldn't be right. Just because others have lost their integrity doesn't mean I'll lose mine. Yeah, I will keep mine. This is an old one. I put this one out. I think this is actually the one that got most people's attention. And the main thing is McRaven's trying to kill me. I already had, and Ty Briscoe and Jan Lewis and Holly Adams. Just yesterday, some dude was trying to make sure that I was the mark. Um, see here, Robin Hatfield, who I used to think was a friend. Yeah, that was stupid. Her dad is retired lieutenant colonel who started off as enlisted. That makes him a living legend. Seems like everyone I know are a bunch of living legends. I guess my normal is not normal. But instead of, and her wife knows that she loves me. And I even told her, I was like, hey, I made a mistake. I'm going to stay, as a man, I'm going as a friend, but she can't deal with her own emotions. And I'm asking her to help this young family by asking her mom and her dad, how do you keep your marriage together through a military thing, which is really, really ridiculously difficult. And she can't be a friend. She doesn't have enough courage. So therefore, she's not worth it anymore. And then you have McRaven pulling Joy Reid. So I'm fucking tired of all you guys. This country's gonna blow up, and I'm not gonna. It's not. You're not putting it on my back to fix it. Go fuck yourselves, because you're gonna send me to jail anyways, and you're gonna try to kill me anyways. So I have nothing. And then you're trying to steal my ideas and then give them away to a bunch of European Americans to then fuck over African Americans again because you have them looking at my computer all day. So y'all, all of you suck. Y'all can go fuck yourselves. But this one I'm making is because of what was seen about Lady Markle. And but so this part is to Your Majesty the Queen. The the Even though the interview with Ellen was quote a disaster in one sense, but what it did is it showed you everything that I've been speaking of. If you have Pierce Brosnan or Pierce Morgan, whatever frack his dumbass name is, he's a regular press. When you look at Ellen, she is the, what's her name? Kate Middleton. And I just read, one of the main things is I just read something that William kicked Harry out because saying that Markle was being rude to the staff. Here's what really happened, Your Highness. This type of narcissism turns into what's called communal narcissism, or a communal attack. The staff was acting out, and she was defending herself. And when she defended herself, now she looks like the bad person. And then Harry, who's basically, I mean, not Harry, William is basically, and your son, basically from just your general persons, they're just freaking soft-handed wimps. I'll be real. If William had gone to Vietnam, he'd been shot in the back of the head. Couldn't trust him. And darn sure Charles, that's just a freaking dandy. We're at the verge right now. This is the exact same thing that happened to the German people. We have with Trump. He's going to get in. We know that during pre-World War II. Everything was all nice and goosey. Germans, everything, life went up and all that, and then they started a war. All strong men do, men or women actually. It's just the nature of the beast of power. We see that with China encircling India with its new frigate in Pakistan, and then the Eritrea base, and then bases all throughout the Pacific Rim. They're basically doing the projection dominant force projection that the U.S. military has been doing for years. And you might just say, what does this have to do? Well, well, the Queen knows this. The average person doesn't get what this has to do. Just like my sister in law broke up our family, is the exact same thing that Kate Middleton is doing to yours. There was a video or a picture where you're cutting a cake and you can just see her body language. Oh, I'm gonna be the queen one day. All the rights without the responsibility. She's a crappy person. Angela, Lady Markle is actually a very beautiful woman, and she has a big heart, and that is the most dangerous thing to a person who's compressed their heart to a nothing. And I'll go back into this and more what that means as I go through uh, this this thing I put together. So as I was thinking, it is Kate and whatever Charles's wife's name is. Oh, you see how much I really can care less about royal watching. It is they were attacking her, and this is more than just your normal little gossipy little thing. It was a constant and unrelenting attack. Your people probably have access to my phone like everybody else. You look up Jana Lewis on my text messages, and then connect those actions. Go to substation. Steps have your people. I know you're not going to do this, and they'll send you a report. Substation.one, and you line those up plus onto substation.one on SoundCloud under Holly's house. You will line up text or messages of those text to those timestamps, and that's the gaslight. Then she give so everything. First, it was this confusing, like I like, hey dude, because didn't know what was going on, and I'm just getting so confused. Which is the idea. But there, every emotion, every negativity that has been thrown at Miss Markle, at Lady Markle, is actually who Kate Middleton really is. So if you think less of her, you think all these negative things, invert that thought, and then I already know that Lady Middleton has probably been pinging relentlessly, thinking that the old hag has no idea. That's what she's thinking, ma'am. And I know you've now been seeing this. At least I would assume you have. She's walked into the trap and not realizing it because she doesn't want any responsibility. She just views William as a pet, and he's a good pet. He does what he's told. So does Charles. They both do what they're told. So what they do is they compress and compress and compress, as you've seen with this, with the Van Jones whole gay thing. And Van Jones has thrown Obama under the bus. He's thrown African Americans under the bus because he was one of the counters to the marching and getting, went from $10 trillion down to what, 2 trillion, all because people like Van Jones don't have couldn't let go, couldn't see the good of things because all that wasn't going to be considered good for them because it removes the power of the narcissistic system on the African American community. And what is it, like 10% of the African American community has gone to jail between 18 and 34. So that's putting what, about 40% of the African American male community that has been incarcerated, therefore socialized for incarceration. And so they make their money off of them as opposed to going out and creating capital by work. Their capital is extracted from them via the prison industrial complex. Someone like me, Overth, puts their quote power in danger. So they have to constantly keep attacking. Kathleen Kennedy, she's a crap person. I'm about to, once I finish putting, once I get done with this, I will be placing in, I haven't done it, but a across multiple jurisdictions throughout California, the criminal complaint that they did that to this person. I know that I'm betting that she will not actually ever go to the cops until she's either completely destroyed, and because the way this personality style works, they'll try to pull her in, steal her light, and when there's nothing left, then toss her away. And because it's always about the person who's being the attacked is trying to figure out what the heck I do wrong. What you did wrong was nothing. They had a heart. They care. They're a human being. And that is the most dangerous thing. From a metaphysical perspective, it is the lily demon, or Baal-at, the Canaanite demon, which then reemerges as Narcissa. And the Middle Ages Jews used to put the bowl, so hoping that the demon would go into the bowl and then they can destroy the bowl. It's the same meme set or emotion set, and this is what's really going to be hard for most people to understand is I could see that as a unitary system. So you're talking to 4 or 5 people, they became one unit. They become one set of individuals in their communication. And then that information flows throughout the set. And then and that's how that communal narcissism works. They take over the meme structure or the emotion sets of what goes on. So what happened is, as Middleton's attacking, it's the same thing that happened to actually your former sister-in-law. Well, I shouldn't say former, she's just passed, but daughter-in-law, my apologies, Princess Diana. Charles, because Camilla was not protecting her, and he was giving rights for these who are probably narcissistic and psychopathic paparazzi to chase her. She tried to find safety within the Saudis, and that ended horribly as well. And then Kate's doing the exact same thing to Lady Merkel. And so when William ascends, he's actually not going to be the king. He'll be the king only in name. She'll be controlling him because he's an idiot and he has no clue. He doesn't run to the fight. Only reason she's quote nice or stays within her feminine place is because he will ascend. If he was not going to ascend, she would just treat him like crap. And same with Charles. So, this is the whole Freudian, but I'm more of a Jungian. Remember, I went through the conjunctionally opposites, and that's one thing that was really when I was dealing with this Miss Jenna Lewis, is that I had already gone through the conjunction of the opposites. The Jung, it's the 3 parts: the conjunction of the unus mentalis, conjunction of the opposites, which is the conjunction of the masculine and feminine, or if feminine is disjunction of the feminine, so that they understand the masculine. Then it's unus mentalis, conjunction of the mind body. That's just the easiest way I can explain that. For most people, I assume, man, you're already ascended. I don't tell you these things, but for most people, that is the best way I can explain. I kept thinking there was a Star Trek movie, Picard was it was they had to go to this planet and it was in this place shrouded, and these people had been there forever, and they lived for really long times, and there was a moment where this hummingbird was slowly flapping its wings. After I right shift and go into the Unus Mentalis, that is what the world looks like to me all the time. I actually slow my mind down. It's the an old boy that this guy he was doing his thing, showing how fast it was, and he didn't realize it was like that was slow motion. I saw everything. I was literally looking at his fingernails, going, "Oh, that's kind of cute." It's like because he had something on, not like cute, cute, but it's like he was thinking it was fast and it was not. That's what I mean by that. Like you think that's whatever. But once my mind jumps, that's what the world looks like. That's what the world is to me. It's just memes jumping around from person to person. Things that are supposed to be fast and unseeable are just, oh, and it's hard to explain to anybody. So where was I going with that? Oh, so lady. So that's yeah about the ego super ego, and that's what this was. And so when I'm looking at trying to put together what it was going on, this is not just your normal cat fight. Women doing women things, fighting their position within the network. This is far more sinister. This is the return of Baal. I remember years ago I had a professor, and he did his thing was the five Greek loves. What was it? More way and the way he lined them, and it was a more familia, friends, love, friends, caritas, agape, philia, amor. But there was another one. I'll have to go back into that one, and I'll probably post that one. But either way, the way it was that the feminine. When I realized that the feminine switches family outwards, as opposed to the way men look at it, where if the family is closest, women just don't think that way. We think completely almost literally opposite. Men and women, where do we place that? It'll make more sense once I find that paper that I wrote. So this is so as I said, this is the masculine and this is the feminine as viewed from my perspective. If a person was a healthy self, non still split, but as a healthy self, and using David Hawkins' power versus force, the whole idea of these different emotion sets, where persons who externalize themselves is this shame, shame and guilt. Prince Harry sits up here at courage. William just is sitting at pride and anger. And we know that persons of narcissistic or externalizations usually just go up to a desire. Dr. Romney had a wonderful statement where she said, made the difference between the desire and cherish. The difference of love, I love out of desire, which is not really love, which is just taking, and cherishing, which is a desiring, which is a caring and wishing for you to grow, or desiring is wishing to steal and destroy. And because they sit in shame so much, everything is down here. So if they can get somebody else to be angry or whatever, then they can take their. So, like, say for instance, Lady Merkel was usually will sit at willingness, willing to try to do this, willing to be her best, willing to work hard to try to do what was necessary. Can't have that, so she has to make her look angry and proud and haughty, which is basically the shame of Lady Middleton. Now everyone thinks she's this willing, courageous person of reason when she's really this shameful, guilty, apathetic, angry person. That's the opposite day. That's how they do it. They make the outside of some. They make it outside. If they can get somebody else to be the emotions that they are feeling inside, then they aren't those anymore because all that matters is the outside, and they're just pure super ego. And it's yeah, and they create emotional lies, and that's the same thing that Hitler did to the people of Germany, and what Trump is doing to the people of America right now. Using that, it's about that 4% of our population, scaring the crud out of the European Americans because they've always thought they're special when they're not. It's just Americans. It's a whole thing, and they can't deal with it. They're having a tough time because they've always had this false self. And the irony is, this false self has ripped and gutted our country from manufacturing to education to everything. And then China's just eating our lunch. And we'll say, well, they're not. We're still the largest. I'm like, but we're not creating anything. Not so much physically, but as a person, as a country, as a people. We talk about we love our competition, but as long it's a strange little dichotomy or this little situation we're running into. Because I can say, for instance, right now, McRaven, Admiral, Admiral McRaven retired. He has to try to destroy or kill me because he looks like crap. The Admiralty, and it's and in the end, it's not just the Admiralty, but the entity called the Navy is having a reckoning with its own racial problem. They allowed somebody like me to get away. They ran someone like me out of the military. And yet they're supposed to be looking for people like me. And the Army's definitely thinking they're full of crap. And so, and then you have Kathleen Kennedy having these people is like the fifth time. So I'm pretty much running out of cats. So I'm not going to figure I'm going to live much longer. Trying to kill me, or eventually they'll figure it'll happen. Maybe either an accident or just a straight up bullet wound. Whatever. I ain't going. If I'm going out, I'm going out both middle fingers. Kiss my buttocks. So as we see, here's the structure as it is into there's a private and a public self. And we have the scapegoat, invisible, and the golden child. She was scapegoating Lady Merkel. As I said, everything, every negative attribute that the press and everyone's trying to show about Lady Merkel is actually Lady Middleton. And I use the word lady loosely with that one. And if your son, ascend, one your son is grandson, son and grandson ascend to the throne, they will not be the ones at the throne. These women will be the ones controlling them, and they won't have the guts, especially William. He definitely doesn't have the guts to face himself to see what is happening. So once again, this is the feminine narcissist because my hypothesis is the way the narcissist acts is feminine, and then this is the psychopathy, psychopath, both doing using dialectic to create a false self. What I mean by a dialectic, they will sit in, so you have the audience themselves in the middle, and then the target on the other side. So between the target and the audience. So the audience sees them. So you have a dialectic between them and the audience, and then them and the target. They keep pushing the target, pushing the target, and pushing the target until the target explodes. Now everyone says all that negativity. That's actually the uh, the narcissist, and then they get it becomes now everyone attacks the target. Becomes what's called communal narcissism. The one of the main things is I love is Nichelle Neves. Your people can look up. It's called The Look. She said it several different times. Michelle Neeves. Not a clinical psychologist, just a person who's gone through this type of a psychological abuse, understands it, and that was one of the coolest things about what she said. Because they'll do that, you'll be, and it's always when there's a positive thing going. If the person's all of a sudden the target's having a good time, they cannot let that target have a good time or have a positive emotion, because it's like, why is my negative emotion having a good time? That's not what they're supposed to be there for. That is a vessel of where I dump my negative emotions. So if they're having positive emotions, let me take their positive emotions and I'll take that, and then they'll give them a look, like a nasty mean look real quick where nobody else sees it, and it shuts that person down. They're like, what did I do? I didn't do anything. Well, that was what you did. You were having a good time. And that's why they did that. And then the staff, not knowing their damn place, started doing this passive aggressive attacking to Miss Merkel. The Lady Merkel, she stood up as an American would, and then they started whining. Well, that little darn, she's being mean to us because she's being mean to us because we're not. She's not allowing us to all pile on her like everybody else. And then William, being a dipshit, kicks his brother out, which then falls right into Lady Middleton, which is then it was what they do is they encircle and they start separating the target. The and once he's separated, she'll then start abusing him as being Prince William. This is a pattern that is universal. It is not our normal haughtiness, and usually the structures of the pomp and circumstances keeps us in check, but not so in this case. She didn't want her discarded because she was using abusing her. It kept the the I mean Kate Middleton, and she's annoyed, and now, and I saw this thing. Oh, we gave her this, and she gave the stiff British upper lip. Bullshit. The press is full of crap when it comes to that. They put any pressure on her, she'll really collapse. Especially if she was being attacked at home. It's the attacks at home that really was the problem. You go home for safety, but you come home and you have your staff attacking you, you have your sister-in-law attacking you, then your brother-in-law is attacking you, and then your mother-in-law attacks you. Very few people would be able to handle such a withering attack, unending attack. And she really is, as an American, I can look at her and go, yeah, she's trying her best. She's really trying to do what, this is a stranger in a strange land. And then she would do good, and then I almost guarantee you that's when she did well, Middleton would attack. Or Camilla would attack, or both. Every time I would suggest that you have your people go back through the timelines and go back through day by day. I know there's, just as the Britishness of things, go back through day by day. There's always going to be two. There's always going to be a dialectic. If if Lady Merkel's being attacked or she's having a bad day, look what happened the 3 or 4 days beforehand. Who was Lady Middleton dealing with, or was Angela Merkel having a good day, which is probably the case, and she'll attack, or any type of negativity, she'll just try to literally dump it onto her. This is how racism and bigotry, more like not racism, this is how bigotry works. And this is what happens because of the intermittent reinforcement, it hammers your mind. Only thing that happened was with Ms. Lewis, it didn't. All it did was squeeze my pineal gland, which I had shut down for the most part. My the higher self. So when she squeezed my pineal gland, all it did was open up the higher self. But since I had already gone through that, gone through the conjunctions, it was normal. I had already seen this, so that's opened me up to being able to see it even more so. Basically, it backfired, where most people would drive him crazy. It's basically what happened to Kanye West with Kim Kardashian West. She kept him angry because he was easy to manipulate in an angry state. That's the usual emotion set that only that heterosexual African American male men are supposed to only sit within anger, because if in that anger they can control them. I am the most dangerous thing right now to these bigots. They will kill me, man. I terrify them, not by anything I do, but because of who I am, what I represent. A, a melanated man, to them just black, every dude's melanated, who is a man. This is seen time and time again and throughout history. And I'm not giving away my ideas for free. I know my value. So, your Royal Highness the Queen, once again, this is the persons I would suggest, because I had a music thing going on with that. Um, this is we're barreling towards neo-fascism. We have senators who don't believe in secular United States. And then on the other side, we have senators who think, well, it's not going to affect us. You saw what happened the last time such a jerk got control of a very powerful democratic society. Anyways, that's all I have to say, man. Lady Merkel is not a bad person. At least I don't see it. Could she go through some training, better communication with her husband, blah blah blah, like any person, yeah. But the real person who's really horrible is Lady Middleton and Camilla. And your sons don't rule their own lives, they rule them. Thank you much for your time. If you're leaving listening, or at least having some one of your persons listen. Again, I ask that you go through, since my phone's already hacked, find Jenna Lewis to the timestamps, and then also on my Facebook, my messenger. Because it started with me, hey dude, have lunch, and you'll see the progression. Once I put this in for the probable accusation of possible rape, my life will be ended. but I will bow to no one. As an American, I shouldn't, and I won't. As they love as the rednecks love to say, these colors don't run. Take care. May God bless you, ma'am. May God bless Great Britain, all democracies, and the United States of America.